It's time for another episode of The Oil Stream with Dustin Nielson and Tom Gazzola, presented by Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of The Oil Stream. Dusty and Tommy Gazzola with you live here at EdmontonSportsTalk.com. You can text us anytime, 780-218-9999, 780-218-9999, or hop in the nasty chat. And, we already got messages rolling in. We'll get to a bunch of those. Let's get that nasty chat going today. Glenn M is in and says, chew fast. Tommy, what was for lunch today?
I just picked up a quick sandwich on my way home from the arena, and ham and cheese. Just good. It's a nice quick sandwich, but yeah, I had to chew fast. I'm sorry you had to see that. My bad.
Nothing wrong with a ham and cheese, buddy. Right? It's pretty basic.
Yeah, straight up ham and cheese. Pretty fresh, good bread. Had it on rye. So, and then I haven't had a coffee yet today, and having my coffee now, and glad to be here with everybody.
Well, I been busy doing the lock shop, so I've not been able to follow along with what was happening at the rink today, buddy. Bring me up to speed. What happened?
Yeah, okay. So the getaway day for the team. Obviously, they play mini tomorrow, and they basically just ran special teams all practice. No indication of like what the lines were, judging by the drills that they ran and then the jerseys that they wore. So they had the uniforms, like the color combinations based on not lines, but special teams. So we're going to see Kane up on the top unit.
Makes sense.
And then so the way, I think a couple of the guys, I don't know if it was Schauger. I think Schauger put it out there. Kane was in the bumper position, but basically it was him and Hyman working down low, and then Kane would slide out depending on what side the puck was on. He would go to the bumper, and then, if need be, Hyman can do that as well. And so there was a lot of special teams work. Power play 2 was getting some work as well. Power play 2.
Gotta love power play 2, hey?
I know. You say it with like an asterisk, but Fogle and Brown with McLeod, Ekholm, and Nurse is power play 2. And so as they were working power play 1 and 2, they were also working on the PK stuff. So that's kind of what it was today. No 5-on-5. They didn't do any rushes or anything like that. And so no real indicator as to what the lines are going to look like tomorrow in Minnesota.
Just quickly staying with the power play. And if you have any questions, obviously this is why we have our live 24/7 station, because we want that interaction from you. So you can text us anytime, 780-218-9999, 780-218-9999. Roland is already in the inbox today as well. And obviously the chat is rolling. We'll get to a few of those as we keep cruising. Kane on the power play. What do you think? I mean, it's not so much Kane on the power play. It's how much does this power play struggle without Connor McDavid? Where do you come out on the loss of McDavid just strictly for the power play, Tommy? How does this operate? How does it change? Are they feeding it up to Bouchard a lot more and just letting him fire away, or do you try to execute things the same way?
It is a huge loss, obviously, and there's no denying that. However, there's a lot of weapons on this team, and you're going to be without your best player, aka also the best player in the world, but you have some pretty damn good ones. Like, you should be able to patch it together for a couple of weeks if that's the worst case scenario and he's gone for that long. You should be able to overcome this. Yes, it is a massive gaping hole for this team for the next week to 2 weeks, but I don't know why a guy like Kane couldn't step up. I don't know why a guy like Brown can't, elevate his game a little bit. I know he's trying to find himself as he came off that monster knee injury last year. Hyman can continue to play well. Like, there are guys who can rise to the occasion for the next 4 to 5, potentially 6 games. Like, I guess, we kind of not joke, but we talked about and noted how the schedule is really spread out to start the year. Well, that benefits the Oilers. They're going to have minimal games in the time that McDavid is out, knock on wood, hopefully, if you're an Oiler fan. But you look at this group and you're like, well, that guy can score. That guy can score. That guy knows how to generate offense. So I still think that they should be able to create. Now, do I have faith in them after watching them for 5 games? Not as much as maybe a couple of weeks ago, But Dusty, these guys should be more than capable. And if it's the next man up mentality, you've got a lot of really skilled guys with a chance to eat up some big minutes because McDavid plays, his 23 to 25 a night. Take advantage of it and prove that you still have that scoring touch. So they should be okay. They should. They need to fix their defensive game, obviously, and stop shooting themselves in the foot with those terrible goals that they give to the opposition too.
Nielson and Tom Gazzola with you. And as always, portions of the Oil Stream brought to you by our great partners at Boston Pizza. And hey, make plans. We're going to run some tests today. And then Tommy, pregame tomorrow, Boston Pizza, Capilano. We'll have the speaker set up. You'll be able to come down, have a bite to eat, have a couple of drinks, watch and listen to Tommy's pregame show live. Text in right there from in the lounge. I mean, basically can't do this anywhere else in the city. Then stick around. We're going to have as much of our EST crew as we can down there, watch the game, have some fun, and then boom, post-game as well. So it's going to be a really unique experience tomorrow at the Capilano Boston Pizza. So make plans to join us down there. And they've got some great specials as well for these Oilers nights. You're going to want to get in on that. How about these? $1 off tankards of Canadian or Coors Light, $5.50 shots of Fireball, Jaeger, Burt Reynolds, Purple Rain, and Honey Jack. And if you want a medium pizza, you get $5 off the medium pizza at Boston Pizza as well. So, we're looking forward to having a little bit of watch party and see what the Oilers bring to the table without Connor McDavid in this situation. Tommy, do you at all believe in, and hey, fire us your questions, 780-218-9999, or of course in the nasty chat as well. Where do you come out on the statement of, considering it's a short-term injury for now, that's all we know. They said a week to 2. This could be a good thing for the Edmonton Oilers, for other guys to step up and kind of push them out of this slow start. Do you buy into that at all, or are you like, they've got 3 of a possible 10 points with McDavid in the lineup? This could be an absolute disaster with McDavid out of the lineup. This kind of goes one of 2 ways, doesn't it?
And or they just tread water for the next couple games and then he comes back. I think that's the unlikeliest third scenario. But I would like to see this group rise to the challenge and kind of play pissed off and put their work boots on because they're missing their best player. Like, that is what they need. They need to get their asses in gear and put in the work consistently and be mentally sharp in games, because it has been a lack of focus that has really sunk them in a bunch of these games. So you don't have the safety blanket for the next 2 weeks, potentially, at least a week, as we're told. Maybe he makes a miraculous comeback by the Heritage Classic, but you don't have that reassurance in knowing, oh, by the way, there's the best player in the world. He'll go and get us the equalizer. No, you don't have that. You've got like one of the top 5 guys in Draisaitl, and then you have a bunch of really good guys around them. So I hope that they take that challenge and they tackle it head on, and then they find success. And maybe this does motivate them if they have the right mindset. I think if they do that, people here will be like, okay, good. Like, these guys are still understanding and engaged and capable of getting the job done and living up to their expectation without Connor McDavid. Now, if they sulk and they play crappy and slow out of they've been good starters, but they kind of taper off later in games. If they just kind of go out there and half-ass it, then they're screwed. But I feel like they're going to be pushed and challenged by their coaches, and they have to dig deep. And, I think someone said win from within, and they use that term. I think it was on the Hangout last week. They just have to. Like, it was Jack who said it on Friday, Jack Cookson. But now, more so than ever, without McDavid. But I think they're capable, Dusty. I really do.
Roland is in and says the Oilers are dead last at 5-on-5 scoring with Connor McDavid.
I know.
That's a big problem with the Oilers this year. Tommy, wait, stop right there. Bring that mug back. We got some text messages about the mug. That's a classic Gino Reda, hey?
Yeah, it is. They did it back in the day, I think like 10 years ago, and it was I think it was men's. It was like a Movember thing where they did these mugs at the network. So I bought a couple. They're great.
Smart move.
Yeah, and they have the old logo too.
Oh, wow, right? That is nice.
Yeah, they're good mugs.
Yeah, it looks like a good mug. You having a little afternoon coffee there out of Gino Reda. Look at this.
Little Americano.
Oh, what a legend.
Yeah.
God, I remember him in our mustache bracket. Put together a pretty good run. This is a pretty
He's a
good
very
run.
nice man.
Yeah, I mean, he's Gino Reda, man.
Mm-hmm.
He's a legend. Yeah. So Hampton Steve, there we go. He was like, "Hey, I love Tommy's coffee mug. Gino Reda, absolute legend." It is funny. Like Roland mentions, the 5-on-5, even with McDavid, it's just not there. Like
They haven't
5-on-5, it's
scored
just
in the
not
third
there.
period. Yeah.
How's that possible? How have you
I
not
don't
scored
know.
in the third period 5 games into the season, man?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, go back to that game on Thursday in Philadelphia. They're down 2 goals.
Well,
going
that
into
was
the
just
third,
BS. Like,
and they get 4 shots. They get 4 shots in the third period. It's like, what the hell happened to you? What happened to that killer instinct? They led the league in third period goals last year, didn't they? Like, it was one of
they were right
fortes.
up there because they would crank it up a notch, right? Like,
Yeah, they haven't yet. So they either this is a jolt to their system and wakes them up because they don't have the cheat code in Connor McDavid for the next handful of games, or they just continue to lay eggs and we start to hit the panic button and go, what the hell's wrong with this team?
We've got lots of different issues being brought up throughout the discussion. Once again, if you are listening live online, we do appreciate it. Tell your friends that if they're looking for some static-free, crystal-clear sports talk here in Edmonton, they can get it at edmontonsportstalk.com. And, of course, they can watch on YouTube if they want. And everything will also be archived in the form of a podcast like we've been doing for a long, long time. So make sure you subscribe to all the podcasts that we're offering up at Edmonton Sports Talk as well. This text message comes in from Dirty Curdy. Says, I think he actually meant it for somebody else because I'm a big fan of Leon as a fellow from German descent. However, his repeated blatant missing of defensive assignments like on the winner is a grave concern. Being tired is no excuses. Doubly in his presser after they state that he made a small mistake minimizing the issue. He hasn't proved at this point the most important time of games defensively he can be counted on yet. He needs 100% for us to, we need him 100% ever to be focused defensively if they're going to be sipping from Lord Stanley's Cup. That was his man that got free to the net in overtime. Just lost him for a second, right? You just got to, you got to be, well, I guess he was underneath him and just kind of let him get by, right?
Yeah. And I'll also, I'm not defending, Draisaitl here, but I will say, Mark Scheifele made a smart play to curl that way and to get Draisaitl and Hyman have to avoid each other. And obviously, he bought himself that extra second of space and took advantage. That was a smart play by Scheifele. At the same time, awareness on Leon and Hyman's part needs to be a little bit sharper.
We're going to take a look at some possible line combinations here. As Tony said, nothing was really run through today. Some special teams work, and then they take off for that road game in Minnesota. So if you have any suggested top 6, top 9, basically, I mean, that's what you're looking at, top 9 with a couple of spares, because due to cap situations, the Edmonton Oilers are just going to basically have to run 11-7 right now because the McDavid thing's not going to be long enough to go on the LTIR. So not an ideal spot to be in. However, they do like to play 11-7, but when they like to play 11-7, it's usually when 97 is in the lineup. So now you're playing 11-7 and you don't have the best player in the world. So we'll see how that gets sorted out as well. But what'd you make of Evander Kane and the comment to Scott Oak in the Hockey Night in Canada game?
I don't know if he was just trying to be funny or clever, but bad timing when you're trying to win a game. I think he's at the point now in his career that he's just going to do whatever the hell he wants. And he's going to say what he wants. And he likes to have fun and get jabs in there in the media. And he's trying to be charismatic. You know what? Not the best thing to do. I didn't I was
just
like,
no reason to do it.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
No
and then so he goes and he fights, right? And that was a great fight. I
Good
enjoyed
tilt.
it.
Yeah.
And now he says that. So you're thinking to yourself, oh, now were you fighting to get your team going or were you fighting for yourself? Because you were on the bench and selfishly you're going to take 7 minutes in penalties. That opens the door to that thought process as well. And given Kane's history, you're like, it's probably a little bit of column B. And so I think it's a little bit of a concern. I don't particularly think it was great that he did that. If I look at it from an Oilers fan point of view, I'm not getting upset, like really upset with him, unless this trend continues and he, veers off and starts doing his own thing more and more and more, and the selfish play continues. and the team play struggles, and then they ultimately lose more and more games here. But yeah,
to me, it's
not great.
It's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
Who knows how much he's scheming and now they'll know I'm not happy with my ice time in the first period. To me, it's just petty. You haven't played well in the first 4 games. Your coach is trying to mix things up, which I think he's been trying to do too much so far this season. Yeah. So he puts you on a line. You haven't done anything to make you justify, man, Vander Kane should be playing 20 minutes a night. Nope. So then after 1 period of a little bit of ice time, you're going on national TV with this petty sort of shot at the amount of ice. To me, I don't know why he did it outside of coming across as an ass a little bit. I don't get it. It's weird to me. But whatever.
You look at no, and what you said is completely valid.
Why?
He's averaging. He played. I think finished that game with 14 and a half minutes, somewhere around there. That's 3 minutes less than he usually plays. He's averaging 17:32 right now this season. So he takes 7 minutes of penalties, spirited fight. Yep. In that 7 minutes, he's probably getting a couple more shifts. So he would have been just right around his seasonal average of 17. And I mean, the Oilers were taking stupid penalties again, like the high stick by Janmark, the trip. Nugent Hopkins had one too. They took some penalties, the stick penalties Jay Woodcroft talked about not liking. That disrupts the flow. That takes your third and fourth line out of it. That takes Evander Kane and Connor Brown out of it. So, yeah, I mean, and again, because Kane's been around and his issues prior to coming to Edmonton, there's always going to be that in the back of your mind whisper saying, oh, maybe he's doing it for himself. And that was an instance where, yeah, you could be like, that comes off like a selfish move. And the
which
fact
you haven't
that
said since he's been here, right? Because the entire league views Evander Kane as this selfish jerk. But since he's been here in Edmonton, and people say, well, no, Dusty, that's not right. I said, no, that's how he's been. He's been great here in Edmonton. He's been a great community guy, seems to be a great teammate. And then he goes and you're right. If he didn't spend that much time in the box, he probably would have at least got 16 minutes in the hockey game. And, prior to that, let's just take a look at Evander Kane's game log so far this year's season against Vancouver in the big loss. 2 shots on goal was -4. In the next game against Vancouver, 2 shots on goal was -1. Against Nashville, he had an assist. Against Philadelphia, he had 5 shots on goal. Hadn't had a penalty minute at all prior to the fight this year. So, I guess playing physically, but clean up to that point. I don't know. It just seemed if he had been on the third line getting 13 minutes a night for 5 games, then I kind of understand making ice time an issue in the first period of a game. But you were literally on a third line for 20 minutes. And it was, I don't know. It just kind of it dumbfounded me a little bit. I just didn't think it was necessary. It was weird. That's it.
Yeah, he didn't need to do that. Now, with Connor out, he's rewarded with power play 1, Vander Kane is. So
mission accomplished.
Hey, jokes on everyone else.
Join us at Boston Pizza. We will be there tomorrow. Tommy will have the pregame show, little watch party during the game, and then the postgame show. You'll be able to basically consume it all live with the speakers set up right there. Capilano Boston Pizza. Time's that pregame get going tomorrow? 5:30-ish, I think.
Yeah, 5:30
yeah.
we get
So, pop by. Obviously the menu's great. There's some great specials as well. You can get that at Boston Pizza. Parts of the Oil Stream also brought to you by our wonderful partners. You know this. They've been with us forever. At Popeyes, you're going to want to get on that ghost pepper chicken sandwich. Nothing against the ham and cheeser you had for lunch today. I mean, it's really hard to screw up a ham and cheese sandwich, so I'm glad you got one in you today. But if you're looking for a little bit more kick to your lunch, DoorDash, Skip the Dishes, Uber Eats, or pop by any of the Popeyes Louisiana Kitchen locations and get yourself a little ghost pepper chicken sandwich. Can we say delicious and spicy? Get that at Popeyes. Your reaction, of course, to the nasty chat today and in the inbox, 780-218-9999, 780-218-9999. If you have a take on Evander Kane or anything else that is going on around the Edmonton Oilers. All right, let's get to We had the Got Your Back Morning Mandate on the Nielsen show today. Rashad suggesting you just pop Holloway up with Leon Draisaitl. I'm curious to see what Jay Woodcroft does end up doing. Holloway only played 10 minutes in that game against Winnipeg, despite looking a little bit more confident with the puck this year. I think I had some lines that I wrote down. I don't know if they'll go with this. But Tommy, what would you do? Let's just do top 6, and then we can kind of put the other 5 guys together and see where they go from here. But what would your top 6 look like?
I actually do like Holloway in the top 6.
Yeah.
And before we get into like the line thing, we were talking and we're watching that game on Saturday night, and Shagar's like, do you think Holloway's and KK was on the other side, and do you think Holloway's it's going to catch with him? And I was like, yeah, I think so. Like, this guy's so fresh and young and early in his career. I like the attitude that he exudes, where he keeps going after it. He gets knocked down, so to speak, and then keeps going. Like, he doesn't get deterred. And I think eventually it'll click. Like, he'll start to pick up on the nuances of the game, and he'll find the soft spots on the ice, and he'll get his timing down, and he'll start taking advantage and getting more opportunities. And I think it's just a matter of time, and he's going to need more reps. So it was just an interesting kind of discussion where it's like, oh man, he does all these things, but it doesn't get any results. I think it'll come. I really do. So I don't mind seeing a Dylan Holloway in the top 6 at all, especially for a little bit of a moonlight while McDavid's out. So this is me. I want to see other people's combinations, and we could bounce these ideas off each other. But I would go like Draisaitl center on the top line, Holloway and Brown, something like that. And then I would go Nugent Hopkins with Kane and Hyman. Like, that to me works, because then with Nugent Hopkins, you've got a guy, Kane, who, when he wants to engage, is a physical specimen. He's rough, tumble, can win puck battles. And then you have Hyman, who digs, and he just gets in there, and he's greasy, and you could get to the net. And then you've got 2 guys that Nugent Hopkins can distribute to, and 2 guys that open up ice for him. Whereas Draisaitl does that on his own, where he's got the big physical presence. He can carry the puck. No backhand passes, though. No backhand passes. And then Holloway could be the speed guy that also has, he's got good size, uses his body well, and maybe, an opportunity for Connor Brown to do the simple things, play up and down in his straight lines and go to the net and get rewarded as long as he's hustling and digging. They need these veteran guys to step up. So I would do something like that. And you know what? Even if, say, hypothetically, they started with something like that, it would be in a blender after the first period.
Well, okay, then, like, we basically ran every coach ever here out of town because of them blending their lines on a constant basis. And when Woodcroft first kind of rolled in, it wasn't the case. And I'll give you my top 6 here in just a second. But and submit yours, nasty chatter, on the text line 780-218-9999. But Tommy, like, 5 games in, game 1, they went to McDavid and Draisaitl 25 minutes in.
Yeah.
Then they kind of went back to the line. Like, I don't think they've started and finished a game almost with the same lines. I think they've started games with 3 different sets of forward combinations through the first 5 games so far. And I guess they don't care about consistency or chemistry in any way, shape, or form, because it is literally impossible to develop any when you're on a different line every 90 minutes. Like, I'm surprised that you can't come out in the media and say, oh, no, there's no panic here, when you're constantly just looking for different line combinations to try to find something so you can stop panicking. Like, to me, the way Woodcroft's coaching this team right now comes across as a whole lot of panic, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, I think it's highlighted by the McDavid Draisaitl 25 minutes in thing. Or I can use this example too. How about rotating or going through your defensive pairs all of training camp only to switch them after 1 game because it didn't work? So,
well, that I give a little bit of a pass to, because Nurse and Bouchard was never going to work. Like, that was a disaster from the start.
All camp.
Yeah, but you didn't have anybody else to play Bouchard with. Are you going to play with Kulak in camp? Like, with Ekholm out, I don't know what else you really could have done, right? Like, it's not like Bouchard has played a game with Nurse with Ekholm in the lineup.
Yeah, that's true. I
don't know. To me, the blender this early in the season, this many times, means full-blown panic.
Well, I'm not surprised just because Jay switches his lines up all the time. And like a good coach reads when guys are going and makes the adjustments in game. But I also understand the rationale for consistency and building trust with one another. And you got to do that at the start of every year. Not every year is exactly the same. Not everybody could just pick up where they left off from, 5-6 months prior. Like, it's harder than that. You need to find rhythms, nuances. Guys' games adjust subconsciously. They might make an adjustment to the game whether or not they know it. And their line mates have to pick up on little things like that, or they try to implement wrinkles to their game. And I like consistency, but I also recognize that we see that there's no consistency with the way this coaching staff likes to throw out their line combinations. So
what say you, 780-218-9999, or in the nasty chat as well. So I started one way today, and then we were having a discussion after, and I kind of switched it up a little bit mid-show today, but I think I'd go Draisaitl with Kane and get Connor Brown back up there. And then if you're going to work Holloway into the top 6, Holloway, Nuge, and Hyman. Like, that is 2 veteran, responsible forwards to put Holloway with. I think I really like that look. He provides some speed on that line as well.
Yeah.
And then I reunite the old playoff line with Foegele, McLeod, and Derek Ryan. And then you have Matthias Janmark and Adam Ernie, I guess, rotating in with Draisaitl and Nuge as well. Unless there's that. Do you think there's any chance Matthias Janmark gets bumped up even higher in the lineup after, for some reason, being in the top 6 last game?
No. No. That experiment died quickly, didn't it?
That was a one-off, I think.
There was no rewarding or redeeming plays or qualities from that game from Matthias Janmark.
You think that's one where, like, Woodcroft, 5 minutes in, walks down the bench to Gully and goes, hey, man, did we really put Janmark up here right now? Like, what's going on? Like,
well, I was thinking, and I'm like, why is he up there? That's not him. That's not his role. Like, Foegele can moonlight. We've seen Foegele moonlight. Janmark, and before Bukestad got to the Oilers last year, I had Janmark as the most important bottom 6 guy at that point. I think McLeod was hurt. Leave him in the bottom 6. He's a penalty killer. He's supposed to just give you good minutes. He's not supposed to take stupid high sticking penalties. Like, he did not have a good game the other night, I didn't think. And he should not be in the top 6. Bottom line.
No. I mean, you might as well give Holloway's whole purpose here is to moonlight in the top 6 when somebody goes down. Like, he's the bottom 6 forward with the most offensive upside, in my opinion. Nothing against Foegele. Foegele will grind it out. But Holloway you better have a higher ceiling than Warren Foegele if you're going to continue to develop him and use the pick that you did on him. So, to me, if you're not going to give Holloway a look right now, what are you even doing here? Like, you're going to run one of these other bottom 6 guys out there into the top 6 when you can actually give Holloway. And Holloway only played 10 minutes against the Winnipeg Jets. So
he did get out there in overtime, though. I did notice that. He got a shift in OT. That's a good sign.
Well, that's probably maybe a glimpse of getting into the top 6 next game too, right? Because you're usually just going to throw those guys out there in that situation. So, I think we're probably around it with the same guys in the top 6, unless there's a Foegele twist here. And I mean, I guess you could play Foegele in the top 6. Not us. I guess Woodcroft could end up playing Foegele in the top 6, and then leaving Holloway on a line with McLeod and Derek Ryan or Janmark or something along those lines. But
something like that.
Yeah. Bottom line is need to get goals. Got to find a way to get some pucks in behind the goalie. 5-on-5. This text is in to 780-218-9999. Thank you very much for the text. Comes in from Amos Moses.
Oh, hello.
Foegele, Dry, and Hyman. Kane, Nuge, and Brown. I get the temptation to put Kane up with Draisaitl, but I don't think you can give him top-line minutes after his little outburst on Saturday. Just my 2 cents. Interesting. Now,
Ooh.
but if they put him on the top unit power play, it's kind of by default because he'd be the next guy in line anyway. When Hyman does sneak off for a breather, it's Kane that would jump out there with that PP1 anyway. So that's kind of by default. Might shut him up for a little bit maybe. But yeah, if you're to put him up with Leon Draisaitl, then yeah, maybe. You could view it as like an undeserved reward, or you do it as, hey man, you're gonna talk. You know what? Get up there and produce. Do something, right? So.
Yeah, I don't think they're in the position to penalize him, challenge him, perhaps. That's an interesting take, though. I get it. The inner turmoil, perhaps, is what Amos is getting at. I don't think there is any, to be honest, but could be wrong.
Zedmo says the coach should be on the same page as his GM about players he needs to execute his system. It shouldn't be a consistent shuffle. Fort Sask Mike says Holloway, Nuge, and Hyman sound solid. Yeah, I didn't start the show with that today, but we were discussing about different ways you could use these guys, and I kind of just was like, you know what, Holloway with Nuge and Hyman could end up working.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, Kane needs lots of games to get going. Too bad he didn't get any preseason games, which was funny because Rashad brought it up today that Kane was not liking the fact that he played in 5 preseason games. So, I don't know, playing too much, playing not enough. Who knows what you're supposed to do? I mean, at some point, you know what? At some point, I would like Woodcroft during one of his availabilities to kind of bring up, you're going to play 18 minutes a night. You should probably get a goal and assist every once in a while. Like just fire it back.
Oh, Ben, you want a good post game show? I hope Jay says something like that.
That would be that would be a good one. I don't mind that one.
You know what? I like challenging, like when players get challenged and they respond and it's done right. You know how to push their buttons and it gets a fire lit under their ass. I like that. That's good, but it has to be done right. And coaches, the best ones, know and recognize how to do it, and they can do it with individual guys, and they know their personalities and characters. So a spat in the media, out in the public, is not a good way to do it. No ifs, ands, or buts. Like, this isn't the Mike Keenan era or guys like that where you just shame a guy publicly. Those days are long gone.
Gordon is suggesting in the nasty chat, Draisaitl with Hyman and Holloway. Is that what you said, Tommy?
I had Brown and Holloway, right?
That's right. You had Brown and Holloway, then Hyman
and
with Nugent
Kane and Hyman with Nugent Hopkins, because those guys could be the big bodies and create space for Nugent Hopkins to distribute.
I wonder if there's any sort of chance that they go Holloway. Let's just say if we follow through with Gordon's thought there, Draisaitl with Holloway and Hyman, Nuge with Kane, and throw Fogle over on his right side. And then that keeps Brown back down on the third line. You play Brown with McLeod and Janmark. And then you're running Derek Ryan and Adam Ernie.
I was watching Brown today, and I'm like, at some point, like, this guy, the rust is going to shake off. So that's why I had Brown in the top 6 still.
What do you think? Watching him today, like moving wise, like he seems to be getting around, or what? Like,
yeah, and the other thing too, while I was watching him at practice, I'm like, this is a perfect opportunity for him to take on some responsibility and to go on a nice, like, 3 or 4 game run and provide that depth scoring. And I mean, basically Woodcroft is at the point now where he's going, okay, who wants to go and actually give us something here? Because he's had, 4 duds. Well, I'm not saying the Oilers played a dud of a game on Saturday. This is a disappointing result, but he's had 3 kind of duds of games, and then 1 good one, and then 1 so-so one. Even the Vancouver loss at home, I didn't think they were that bad, but I didn't also think that they were, like, excellent by any means. You know what I mean?
More of your messages, 780-218-9999, or in the nasty chat. Ryan says, Woodcroft is pretty calculated. I can't see him running Kane down in a presser. Yeah, no, he's not going to. I mean, that's just not who he is. That's not how he is built. One on the nasty chat says, Gagne season debut.
Good for Sam signing the AHL deal that was announced today. You know what I think is going to happen, Dusty? He's going to go test it out, see if his body and the hips respond. I do think he is going to play his last ever game as an Oiler. I don't know if it's going to be midway through the season. I think, he gets one game, maybe last game of the year, something like that, and he gets to say goodbye properly. Who knows? Maybe everything's good and he goes down to the Condors and he just starts banking points, man, and they have to call him up. I don't know, but I think he'll get like that one swan song with the Oilers to say
It's
goodbye.
got to be
properly.
that one. There has to be that one.
Has to be. Yeah. I mean, you come back for your third stint with the team, you got to be sent off the right way, especially a guy like that who probably will be in the hockey ops department within, a calendar year.
Speaking of Sam Gagner getting that one shot, why not One Putt Virtual Golf for your next big event, right? How's that for a tie-in?
Hey-o.
One Putt Virtual Golf, brand new facility. They got 6 TrackMan bays. Same technology that the PGA Tour uses, actually. It's a perfect spot for group events, birthday parties, Christmas parties. We're talking adults. We're talking kids. Great spot to go watch an Oilers game as well. You book your TrackMan bay. You slide on in. Oilers game on TV. And you can watch the game. Hit the links on a bunch of different courses. They're located on 6816 178th Avenue, north end of Edmonton. Kid-friendly place. They got video games. They got complimentary snacks. Video games are free, actually. Large selection of adult beverages as well. So if the parents want to go and have a bevy or two, let the kids play the game, kind of leave them alone, and hit the links for a little bit. Not a bad idea. And with the weather that we have out there today, no better time to hop on at One Putt Virtual Golf. Book a night with your buddies and get out of the cold, Tommy. This snow is pissing me off here today, I think.
I know. I have to, I'll make my way to the studio because I got to go pick up the stuff for the show tomorrow. So give me a little bit of time. You guys are going to be sticking around for a bit,
Yeah,
right?
we're going to be here for a little bit. You got to run and do that test at BP's.
Yeah.
And you can do that just from your laptop, right? So you don't need the gear for that. Are you in on the hangout tomorrow?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you can grab the gear tomorrow.
So just go to BP.
Yeah, just take your laptop to BP's and we'll just connect that way. That's all we need to do is just test the connection.
Guess what I'm having for lunch.
Thank God you weren't coming all the way over here and getting equipment that you didn't need till tomorrow. So yeah, we just I mean, we know all the equipment works, right? We just need to make sure that you can connect back to us, and then I'll be there with you tomorrow to set everything up, and should be good to go.
I'm glad we clarified this and you saved me a trip, but I'm an absolute disaster when it comes to the technical side of our business. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I'm a mess.
Well, I'm glad we had this conversation live on the air because I thought you were going to roll in here and then have to drive all the way out to Capilano. No, just whip out there. No. We'll send you a link. We'll do a quick test and we'll be good to go. So sounds good. That's all we needed to do, man. I'm glad you didn't roll in here mid-afternoon. God, thank God we had that conversation.
Oh boy.
Man, Tommy and I got to book a meeting at One Putt Virtual Golf. Go check them out. And I hope we get a few crowds out there at One Putt to watch Oilers game and go hit some balls, which would be nice. I haven't put my clubs away yet. I'm leaving them in the garage this year. Usually I throw them back in the shed. Left them in the garage this year because I plan on getting out to One Putt here at some point. We can go have a really competitive round, right? That'd be fun.
Let's go out there. Let's do like a team bonding thing when we have a moment to relax a little bit. It's been a busy start to Edmonton Sports Talk. I have also not put my clubs away, although they will stay in my unit here in my condo because I baby the crap out of them.
Yeah, they're not going anywhere, right? Like they get your spare bedroom, basically.
They're in my guest bedroom.
Yeah, in bed. You lay them in bed and you cover them. You put the covers on them.
Individually bubble wrap.
All right. So, we haven't, there's zero chance McDavid plays in the Heritage Classic, isn't there? Or 10% chance? Is that what we're saying? Long shot?
I don't know. So it's next Sunday. It's less than a week away. Yeah. Unless he feels great miraculously and he practices, let's say, because they're supposed to practice, I think it's either Friday or Saturday at the at the rink at Commonwealth.
Yeah.
If he's on the ice then I think there's a chance. But as of today, I put the percentage, 5 to 10%. It seemed bad. You saw him skating around. He couldn't take a shift, stayed on the bench, couldn't go out in overtime, and he was kind of putzing around when they were clearing the ice for OT.
Do you think he would have? Do you think he would have shot in the shootout?
Maybe,
eh?
Maybe. But it looked like because he was grabbing just above his hip, sort of on the side. So maybe some kind of strain in the back area, something like that, or just above the hip.
Yeah.
I don't know if he could have, like, you could put a 5-3-5 on there to get him up for a penalty shot. I don't know. But it was interesting. He was just there. So I put it at like 5 to 10% that he plays. But if he continues to heal and we see him at that outdoor practice, then I'm going, well, maybe he plays. Maybe he plays. So let's revisit this on Friday's show.
I just always worry about throwing a guy who's a little banged up onto that outdoor surface. You know, I know the ice will be great.
Yeah.
The NHL has high standards for this.
Yeah.
But it's not the Rogers Place ice. You know, like if he's dealing with, I have a picture up right in front of me of where the oblique muscle is. And the oblique muscle is like right where he kind of reached, right? So if you're dealing with anything that's sort of just tweaked and you have any sort of issue with the ice and a guy who's attacking and playing the game at the high speeds he does, man, if they rush him back just so he's on the ice at the Heritage Classic and he does further damage to this, I'm probably taking it a little bit too far, but that could be almost like a franchise defining moment if something like that were to happen. Now, it's highly unlikely, but we're also thinking it's highly unlikely that he plays in this game. So we'll see, but that would be a bad look. Like he comes back, does worse damage to it because he had to play in this outdoor game for the National Hockey League and he's out 3 months now. You know, like it's just, nothing like the Heritage Classic is going to be a great moment for the city and everybody involved, but Connor McDavid's health comes first every single time. Like it just, I just worry that they're going to be like, oh no, he's good to go. He's good to go. Everybody watch. And then something bad happens and it's just a bloody disaster.
You know, too, Dusty, I think the results in these next 2 games might have a bit of play in all of this. Say they go out and they get a big win against Minnesota tomorrow, and then they come back for that Hall of Fame game on Thursday and they pull it out against the Rangers. I think that would make it easier to not, try to get McDavid in, even if he is close to game ready. But if they falter and they win one or they lose both of these next 2, then I think they're looking at Connor and doing everything in their power to get they're flying him to Mexico to get stem cell treatment or something, to get this thing ready to go for Sunday. But if they have 2 good games, then maybe it's not a big issue.
But like even in that situation, even if you lose 2 games, I'm still not forcing him back into the lineup before he's ready, just with the worry of doing more significant damage, right? Like,
nor should you. But I think the natural instinct, if you're not having success and getting the results, is, damn, when's the best player in the world ready? Can we get him in by Sunday? Can we get him in by Sunday? That will naturally creep into the collective mind of the coaching staff.
Well, then epic fail. Like,
I agree.
The best player in the world is ready when he's back. I don't care if it takes 2.5 weeks. You're not winning the Stanley Cup in the next 2.5 weeks.
No. And so if they have success and, they get 3 out of 4 points or 4 out of 4 points, then, non-issue.
Here's the so it's really early. And let's say you're chasing Detroit. I think you feel pretty good about tracking down the Red Wings, who've had a nice start to the year, but aren't the defending Stanley Cup champions. So this is a weird thing to even bring up because it's October 23rd, Tommy. But the Vegas Golden Knights have started the season 6-0, and they have a 9-point cushion on the Edmonton Oilers already through 5 games for the Oilers, 6 games for Vegas. Now it's a grind. Now it's a push to kind of get back up. There's still lots of time here. The Oilers could certainly go on a heater. I don't see Vegas going through like a major slump at some point this season. But, whether the games are being played now or they're being played midway through the season, this is 5 or 6 games that you've completely pissed away. I think I'm stupid even bringing it up. But at the same time, 9 points is a lot to overcome against the defending Stanley Cup champions who started better than any Stanley Cup champions basically ever.
Yeah. Well, there's this smart coach out there that always says, win the day. Well, go start winning the day because it ain't happening 2 weeks into the season. If you do that, you could close the gap. But just keep the focus on the next game. Don't worry about the gap between teams because things can change, and the Oilers just have to worry about not even win the day, win the next damn period, and then try to win that period after it, and then the third period try to score a damn goal in the third period. So you got to keep it pretty short-sighted. You got to have blinders on because you've dug this hole, and you put together a couple of wins and you're right back into the mix. It is, I think, disheartening for Oiler fans to look at the standings and see how far behind the team has fallen already, but we're less than 2 weeks into the year, and just win the day. That's what the coach always says. And until you start doing that, forget looking ahead because you're just going to depress yourself.
Dean is in and says the Oilers are not catching Vegas. He's already making it clear. Dean's calling his shot on October 23rd. I didn't want to go there just yet. I feel like it's a conversation that they're a significant ways back of Vegas already. Now, if they can go on a run like they did down the stretch last year, once they got Ekholm, I mean, it still wasn't enough to catch them last year either, but that was a pretty good run at that point. This text is in. It came in a little bit earlier. So apart from the team being a bit of a mess right now, inability to score, subpar defensive play, untimely goaltending, and gaffes, things are looking pretty good with the Oilers right now.
Yeah.
Which I mean, to be honest with you, like that guy's not even wrong. Like if you look at this, things are a bit of a mess. They can't score 5-on-5. They have been subpar defensively so far.
Yes.
They have had some untimely goaltending gaffes. And McDavid's like, this has literally been pretty much the most disastrous start you can think of this season for the Edmonton Oilers, isn't it?
Yep.
I can't know how it would be any worse. It's 5 games in, and maybe they win the next 4 or 5 or whatever without Connor McDavid, and all of a sudden it's like, wait a second, this team does have depth. Get Connor back. They're going to be better than ever before. I mean, you can spin this both ways, but let's just be honest. This is the worst possible start you could imagine outside of the McDavid injury taking longer or Leon Draisaitl also going down, right? Like it's just...
Yeah. I mean, if you believe in the rules of karma, it's, so bad right now, then it'll swing back the other way and things balance out in the end. But this has been absolutely crappy. It's that meme of the dumpster fire floating down the river in the flooding. Like that's what it is right now. It's like, what the hell is happening with this team? So, hey, I think it was AP that was saying in the nasty chat, they're not going to win these next 2 games. Like, they still have good players because McDavid's out. It doesn't mean these other guys can't step up.
If you can't win one of these next 2 games, then you're wasting $80 million on your roster or 71 or whatever it is without Connor McDavid on there, right? Like now with that being said, if they had properly managed the cap somewhere along the way, they could actually have other roster players to put into a roster as opposed like we kind of just gloss over it because they do have McDavid and Draisaitl, and you kind of make that sacrifice. Yeah. But it is pretty bush league that they can't carry a full roster. Like it's not a great look for management that they find themselves in this spot right now again. Like,
yeah. I mean, there are other teams out there that are dealing with the same crap, but
but it's bush league for them too. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
Manage the cap properly.
That has not happened. It just flat out hasn't happened. So I mean, we said it in the offseason. They're backing themselves into a corner. They're backing themselves, and here they are. And game 1, again, they had to dress 11 and 6. One guy gets hurt. He's going to be out for a limited amount of time, supposedly. Then you can't put him on LTR. You can't call up anyone. You got to go with the guys that are still on your roster. Like, it's just, they did it to themselves. They did it to themselves, and we'll say that all year long.
This one in the nasty chat says, you just made the point, Dusty. They go 14-0-1 to end last year and still did not make up the 10-point deficit that they created early. Unfortunately, barring a Vegas collapse, the division is lost. Which, I mean...
Win the day.
Yeah, it does, but it sounds delusional. I'm not even disagreeing with anybody. It just sounds crazy that we're all here being like, the division is lost on October 23rd. Like, part of me thinks it's not lost because it is only October 23rd, right? Like,
Dustin, we are 13 days into the 2023-24 regular season. Like, there's a lot of time left.
I mean, I would throw out there, though, we're how many games? What'd you say? We're 13 days in?
Yeah.
And and they are already 9 points.
Yeah.
Tommy, can you hear me?
I can hear you now. What did you do there? You faded out.
Well, yeah, we were gonna fade out, and then I brought back in the cool bet thing, and I just didn't connect my mic, mic right away. There's a long way to go. God love low tide, and I do. But somebody needs to sit down and have a chat with poor Tide because he's on tilt right now. I read an article he posted yesterday, and Tide is one of our buddies, and we love him. The article he posted yesterday was like, this is the inevitable. This like, he's worried about McDavid not resigning and Draisaitl not resigning. And you got to read the article. Tide's the best. Like, but we know Tide. We work with Tide for like 10 years. I can see him in a full-blown panic right now, and I just want to go give him a hug. Like, I hope he's being tended to properly at his new home because I worry for poor Tide. I read that piece, and I was just like, oh, man. Tide's thinking that this trend's in the direction that everybody leaves. Like, I love him. What a beauty.
I hope he's wrong.
Well, he better be wrong. My God.
Yeah,
but once again, this goes back around to the conversation of 5 games in, right? Now, somebody said, what's the big deal about winning the division? I do think it would be nice to win the division and have home ice, preferably win the conference and have home ice through there's a reason that they do the home ice thing. And it's to give you an advantage in critical games along the way. I do think it's important to win the division. I mean, this team's goal was to win the division this year, or it should have been. And I think they made that extremely difficult here.
They have. I mean, I think this was a year where I made the joke, like, why can't the Oilers have nice things? They're expected to be cup contenders. Like, this was the year where they should be going shot for shot with the Vegas Golden Knights throughout the regular season and the Colorado Avalanche and just being right there. Vegas goes out and beats one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference. And then the Oilers, you know what? They should be saying, oh, yeah, well, we're going to go and beat up on the Dallas Stars or something like that. Like, they should be pushing each other this year. And one team's just continuing to do what it's been doing. And then the other team just took a left turn to the middle of nowhere and is now scratching its head going, what the hell did we just do?
Oil Bitcoin to the moon says, hey, boys, so at what point should we panic? After 20 games? Well, like, let's say they take 3 of their next 5, Tommy, and they've got 4 wins. Let's say they're 4-5-1 in their first 10. Not ideal, but you can work with that, right? If they only win, let's say they win 1 of 5 without McDavid. Let's just say he misses 5 games. If they only win 1 of 5 without McDavid, then all of a sudden you're 2-7-1 in your first 10. And at that point, I can't blame a fan base for wanting to get worried. Like, right now, it seems a little over panicky to me, but I mean, listen to all the stuff that we just said for the last hour. There's obviously conversations to have here, but I think it's a little over panicky right now. But if their next 5 are the same as this 5, and they could be because they couldn't win the first 5 with McDavid, now they're not going to have them. If it ends up trending in the same direction as the first 5, then 10 games in, man, that's the first month of the season. And if you only have a couple of wins, then you start to wonder, okay, well, this was supposed to be a contender. What's gone horribly wrong?
A lot. Just get yourself back into the mix. I mean, outside of what
luckily
Vegas
for them, the
done,
division's kind of ass.
And so, that's exactly what I'm looking at. Like, forget Colorado. Dallas is at 7. Somehow Arizona is 3-2. So just win a couple of games and you're right back into the mix. And then, you know what? Get on a heater and go from there. It's 1 or 2 wins will quiet things down a little bit here.
Hey, guys, let's get real, though. Vegas' schedule has only been basement dwellers so far outside of Dallas. Yeah, but look at the Oilers' schedule. The Oilers lost to the Flyers and the Canucks twice. They had a sweetheart schedule to start the year, so we can't look at Vegas' schedule and say it's been a bunch of nobodies. The Oilers are supposed to play a bunch of nobodies.
And the Oilers basically played non-playoff teams.
Yeah, and then they played a Jets team that had 1 win on the season and blew a 2-0 lead against them too. So no, I don't. The schedule is supposed to favor the Edmonton Oilers to start the year, and it hasn't. So I'll give credit to Vegas for taking advantage of an easy schedule, if indeed that is what they have had so far. And this point is made in the Nasty Chat too. It says, guys, the division is important, Wouldn't it have been nice if Vegas had played LA last year? Which is a really good point. I mean, the different paths to different rounds depend on how much you're already banged up along the way. So, boy, what an interesting time in oil country. I think that's safe to say, which means it should be a really good pre- and post-game show against Minnesota tomorrow. We'll be at Boston Pizza, Capilano Boston Pizza. Tommy will be rolling through the pre-game show there as well. I'll probably hop on for a little bit. Cass good to go tomorrow on the poster?
I have to ask him. I haven't
check with him because he's driving during two guys tomorrow. So he's going to be on the road tomorrow night, so we'll have to figure that out as well. But we'll get that all confirmed as well. Gord says Vegas' shooting percentage is 25%. The Oilers is 8%. They will both regress to the mean, which I'm sure they will. But Vegas has used that 25% to get off to a 9-point advantage out of the gate for the race for the division, and I don't care which team you cheer for. I would rather be the team that has 12 points in 6 games than the team that has 3 of 10. So, we'll see how that sorts itself out. Huge thanks, as always, to all of our sponsors on the Oil Stream. Popeyes Louisiana Kitchen right here in the Popeyes studio. Boston Pizza as well. Join us tomorrow. Some great specials there, and we'll be live at the Capilano Boston Pizza. I've mentioned before, we really want to fill this place up on Tuesday night. So if you don't mind taking some time, come and join us. I'll buy you a beverage if you roll in there. That'll be on the Edmonton Sports Talk account. If you're looking for a place to go hit the links and watch the game, One Putt Virtual Golf has you covered. And, of course, tomorrow and every day for every Oilers game, we are betting at Cool Bet as well. All right, Tommy's going to run some tests at a Boston Pizza. We got a lot of work to do here, a couple meetings this afternoon at the Edmonton Sports Talk offices. Thank you very much for joining us for all of our live sports talk, static-free since 23 right here online on YouTube and on our live 24/7 online radio feed. Tommy, we will talk to you tomorrow, buddy.
I look forward to it. Like, share, subscribe, smash that thumbs up button, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. That was a fun one.